Happy Friday, it's time for another weekly recap from your friends at CardLines. There are all kinds of stories we want to talk about this week. Player investment advice, product releases, cracking into the new PSA cases, and then there's some negative news too. Most noteworthy, the Michael Jordan jersey scam that has been making a lot of headlines. It's one of the craziest, most disappointing scams in a very long time, especially because it involved a big figure in the industry. We're going to give away a box of sports cards at the end, so don't go anywhere. Let's dive right in. CardLines has a fantastic team of writers that I'm humbled to be a part of, and we cranked out 9 stories collectively this week. All of them are must-reads. I really want you, if any of these stories pique your interest, click on it, go to cardlines.com, link below, and read it for yourself. What I'm going to do is just talk as normal about 10,000-foot view, overview of all these stories, and then if any of them pique your interest, please go read it yourself. You will not regret it. We're going to start with the big one of the week. This is the headline-making story that was published in a lot of different outlets. We did the best, don't worry. Maigret may have falsely authenticated a Michael Jordan jersey. So what happened is this jersey was sold as a game-used jersey for $26,896, and then this Tony Ronzi Foundation stepped up and said, hey, we can photo match this to an Eastern Conference playoff game, and that had never happened before. It was the first time that a Jordan jersey card from a playoff game had been sold. So Tony Ronzi Foundation stepped up and helped. Turns out, that's not a real foundation. His family came out. He was a photographer who died 17 years ago, and his family came out and said, hey, we don't know who this is, and we don't have any part of this. This is not associated with him. Red flags. So then, of course, a lot of red flags were raised and waved, and it turns out this whole thing was a scam. Some sharp-eyed collectors looked at the photo work that had been submitted from this Tony Ronzi Foundation and realized that this was all Photoshopped. And then, here's where it gets even crazier. It turns out that Cardporn, who is a noteworthy figure in the industry, was heavily involved in this, and now his account, along with the webpage for the Tony Ronzi Foundation, is just completely missing. So it has been the most wild, unbelievable twist and turn scam. I think this will be a Netflix documentary someday. Like, that would not surprise me at all. But they turned a $27,000 jersey into over $1 million jersey before it was auctioned, and then completely dipped. It was wild. It was honestly kind of clever, but in like just a really terrible way. And hopefully whoever's involved will be brought to justice, because this is one of, like I said, the most unbelievable stories. I covered all the details in a YouTube short, and obviously this article is jam-packed with more than I'm going to ever talk about here in the summary or the YouTube short, so please give it a read. It has more twists and turns than a midday soap opera, and it is a lot better story than you'll find there too. Before we move into the next article for the week, would you do me a big favor? I need you guys to all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then ring the notification bell so you never miss another CardLines video. You're going to be our absolute favorite, and I totally appreciate the support. Every month we talk about the different auctions that are coming up, so here's the September 23 auction preview. We started with the post-war sports card memorabilia 26. I just want to flex my Roman numerals. I hope that's right. I'm not 100% positive. This one's already over this. That one doesn't matter as much. Memory Lane Summer Rarities auction has a lot of different lots. There's almost 1,800 of them. There's a lot of cool stuff. PSA 5, 1915 Cracker Jack, Shoeless Joe Jackson. A lot of rare cards here, but when it comes to really rare cards, these are some big boy cards you're going to find in the Golden 100 auction. This is part 2. There's 55 lots. 20% buyer's premium, and the buyer's premium alone might be worth more than a small house because of the cards here. Every single one of these cards are going to be just absolute big boy cards. A PSA 10 Logoman card with LeBron, Steph Curry, and Luka. So many monster cards. PSA 8 1952 Topps Mantle. It's a card that if you're buying something here, my guess is you're like running a Fortune 500 company or something. They're seriously going to be cards that are hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I'm at least going to go to the website and do some window shopping and drool over these cards, you know? That's just part of being a collector, of course. There's some hockey auctions. There's a fall sports catalog auction from Heritage Auctions. They usually have a pretty buyer-friendly auction that if you're not trying to, you know, spend $500,000 on a card, check out Heritage Auctions. Really like their stuff. Their setup, we've reviewed them before, and there's quite a few weekly auctions to note as well. Let us know what you think of these weekly auction stories, and let us know what you think of these stories and if you're looking to buy cards from an auction besides eBay. We saw a ton of interest in TacoFractors from this article absolutely crushing, and this video doing very well on YouTube where I was talking about what the TacoFractors were. And then, of course, because of that interest, we had to update it when we got the news of the Topps Chrome WildCard TacoFractor that was introduced in Topps Chrome Cosmic. So there's only 5 of them as far as we can tell. They're numbered to 5. they say WildCard on them, and they're not really player-based. Like I said, there's just 5 of them. The first one sold for $11,000 on eBay. The second one was actually pulled by a friend of ours. It went from Real Breaks, Wisconsin, and was randomized because obviously it's not affiliated with a particular team. So one of the lucky breakers won it in a randomization after the break, and it sold for near eBay comps. So we have 2 5-figure cards for these first 2 wild cards. We don't know what they're going to be redeemable for, but we know it's going to be a fun little mystery. We did an update to our article about cracking PSA and BGS slabs. This article is a how-to, and I took these steps and made a video about how to do it. The thing is, PSA introduced a new kind of case. It's a little bit thicker, it's a little heavier plastic, it's supposed to be a little bit more bendable, and it's supposed to be hard to break. So we got an old case and a new case, and dove in to do it ourselves. I followed the instructions in this article to see if I could break one of the new cases. The old ones are very easy to break and free your card, so you can resubmit. And PSA obviously doesn't want you to do that. It's really bad luck if you get a PSA 8, resubmit and get a PSA 10. So they tried to prevent that. Please go watch this video. I'll link it at the end of this video, but go watch this one and see how we can do breaking an old case versus a new case. Panini Luminance Football came out earlier this month. It came out a day after the NFLPA announcement really shook sports card and particularly NFL football card collectors. Luminance is not a big boy brand, but since the future of NFL cards with Panini is so cloudy, it could be much more noteworthy than we would originally assume, so we decided to do a review of it. Boxes are selling for about $300 and they come with 3 autographs, 1 mem, 5 parallels, and 12 rookies. The rookies are going to be in their college jersey, which makes them significantly less attractive. There's about 107 SSPs, far out luminosity, names of the game, and moments. Then we got introduced to animation this year, so there's a bazillion SSPs. That's kind of annoying, I'll be honest. I don't love when they do that. I just prefer when it's just one, kaboom, downtown, etc. Just something to really hype up instead of having a ton of them. Whatever. Looked back at the history of Luminance. $500 was the most any of the boxes sold for. That's 2020 with Tua, Herbert, Burrow, and Hurts. Really stacked class, plus Jefferson. A lot of good rookies in that class. And then the rest of them were hovering around the $300 mark. So I wouldn't recommend holding this as a long-term investment, as a sealed product, unless you just absolutely don't think there's going to be any more Panini products released this year after the NFLPA thing shakes out. But for now, it kind of seems like business as usual for Panini. We're just waiting on news. Investing in singles is also probably not the best strategy. With Luminance, my thesis is it's going to be, money will be better spent in other brands. You can get better cards or similar cards with more popular brands for the same price. We did add a checklist to this article though, so check that out. Speaking of other products worth passing on, Donruss Elite Football dropped earlier this month. One of the best surprises here, and I've talked about this article before, so I'm just going to mention this. It was nice to see that the rookies are in their NFL jerseys. I did not think that would be the case from everything that was talking about it. And this product was delayed almost 2 months, so maybe that's why they had time to pull it off. Maybe they were doing some rapid photoshopping. But either way, just seeing Bryce Young hit in his Carolina Panthers jersey was a lot better than this. But please note that you only get 3 rookies per box, which makes it a less elite brand than they would want you to think. So one of my favorite articles that we do every week is the Baseball Rookies and Prospects Buying Guides, and that's because I don't know a lot about baseball, so I like to, 1, learn who to invest in, but also 2, just blindly follow Mike's wisdom because he is one of our baseball experts. He's very good at this, so I've just kind of been buying what he recommends, and it's working out. So we did Chase Utley this week. He is on his first year of eligibility to be a Hall of Famer. When asked if he was going to make it to the Hall of Fame, Mike said, "My guess is that the answer is yes, eventually, so maybe not right now, but at some point." And one of the easiest ways to make money with retired athletes is just buying their cards right before they get inducted into the Hall of Fame, because then there's always going to be some kind of jump, 10, 20%. It's going to age like fine wine, and then a Hall of Fame bump is going to jack up the value just a tiny bit. So we recommend it if you're interested in buying some of Chase's rookie cards. 2001 Bowman. Here's all the 2001 Bowman. These are by far the best. I like that it breaks down obviously the PSA total population and some recent sell prices for different PSA cards. So it gives you a little bit of feel for what's out there. Then there's a few more obscure ones down here that are not from that 2000 Bowman set. But these are a little bit rare, so if you're into oddities with low grading populations, then these might be the move. Finally, this was a pretty surprising article about the importance or lack thereof of using subgrades. Collectors, the wisdom there is that you should always use subgrades, and I see a lot of online bullying in Facebook groups like, this one doesn't have subgrades, it's not worth as much. So what I did was get on and look at 3 different comps from cards with subgrades, and then 3 different cards without subgrades. I did 3 of each for the Joe Burrow Prism Rookie, Luka Prism Rookie, Bobby Witt Bowman Crumbs Prospect, so found all their recent selling prices with and without subgrades, and then averaged them up. The startling results was it was about a 4% difference. I thought it would be a lot more than that, but it turns out, at least in terms of value, it doesn't matter too much if a BGS 9.5 has subgrades or not. That said, collectors, like I do say, they're kind of like old men cranky about it, like, hey, you need subgrades. So pony up the extra $4 just to make everybody happy and prevent online bullying. But when it's $16 to grade without subgrades and $20 to grade with them, the best financial advice is just to say, listen, I don't think I need them. Obviously, this was a small sample size case study with some mid-tier, low-end cards, but ultimately, the subgrades didn't matter too much with the cards that I selected. Now it's time to do something very exciting that I'm sure you're all waiting for. Give away a box of Prism basketball cards. We're doing 2021-22 Prism. Cade's going to be a monster this year, so hopefully one of y'all gets to pull a silver of Cade. I really believe this is going to be a bounce back year for him. So what I did here is got all of our followers exported from Instagram. So we have over 300 followers now. Thanks for the support. That's awesome. We're going to copy this. We're going to paste this into random.org. This time I'm going to randomize it 3 times. We'll do 3. There's 1. There's 2. And then our winner is going to be, drumroll, Chucktown Willie. So Chuck, I'm going to make an announcement graphic that shouts you out. I'm going to DM you and then just respond with your address and we will get a box of Prism basketball headed your way. I appreciate the support. Thank you for watching this video, and while you wait on the next visual masterpiece from the CardLines team, be sure to watch our other videos. They're right up here.